Hey folks, welcome back to Cognitive Awareness with a Touch of God. Today's episode, we're going to be focusing on three aspects: the recognition, acceptance, and being responsible for everything that we do. So first, the ultimate concept of healing from anything is to recognize that we have the problem. Probably heard that through years of watching television or seeing movies, that when you see a group of people in a recovery group, someone stands up and says their name. Hi, I'm Bob and I'm an alcoholic. Ultimately, it's about getting that recognition to understand that we do have a situation. In this particular case, our problem is our thoughts. So when we want to recognize what our problem is, it's real simple. It's our brain. Where is our brain going? What are the thoughts that our brain has? And where is it driven from? So recognizing the problem is step one. However, recognizing where the problem is step two. So how do we recognize where the problems lie? It's real simple. It's every time we have a behavior that's contrary to happiness or giving joy or peace to other people. If you get cut off on the road and then you get angry and you start flipping people off, or you start trying to cut them off or racing up behind them, or if somebody's behind you in a car and they're right up on your tail and it's just driving you crazy and you're just getting irritated with them, and you slam on your brakes and they smash into your back end. So at the beginning of each of those situations, what happened is there is something that is called a trigger. The action that happened triggered your emotions. It triggered your behavior. It triggered your thoughts, and it triggers your belief system. So we have to recognize that these things are going to be triggered, that these things are going to cause you stress. But as we've talked in the previous episode, it all starts from our belief system. So if you recognize after somebody cuts you off, and instead of reacting like we normally do, if we recognize that we have a thought process that's far from centered and that we need to modify it, we need to catch it quickly. And that's the recognition that I'm talking about now. Recognizing that we are headed in the wrong direction. So the key factor is to recognize the moment. Understand, it's okay if we don't recognize the moment when we're in the moment, because that tends to bring us a lot of stress and a lot of uncomfortable moments. And it's hard for us to quickly evaluate where we're headed. So if somebody comes up to you and calls you a name, we immediately go into a defensive mode. Or we'll ruffle up our shoulders and we'll kind of throw our plume out there and we'll say, oh yeah, and this is what I think of you. So understand fully that there's a scenario that happens and moments that happen, and that if we can't recognize in the moment, then we need to recognize after the moment. So it's okay if we don't recognize it right away. This is a learning process, and we're going to focus more on each of these steps in the next episodes. But for right now, it's just being able to understand that recognition is critical. Recognizing that I just messed up. Recognizing that I just took a drink. Recognizing that I just put my fist through the wall. Recognizing that I could have treated that person better, but I didn't. That's what we got to rely on. We have to search for that moment of, oh, shoot, I probably could have done or handled that better. I probably could have made a different decision. I probably could have behaved differently. That's what we're looking for right out of the gate. We're not expecting people to be able to hear this and go, oh yeah, simple. When I'm in the moment, I'm going to recognize it and stop myself from going into a negative direction. It's not likely that that can happen right out of the gate. So what we have to work on is just the first step of recognition. Anytime in our day that we can look back and recognize when we made a mistake, or when we thought differently, or when we were believing that we deserved something else than what we got. So that's step one. Learn to recognize the problem. The next part is accepting the fact that you have work to do with your thought patterns. When you recognize that you have a problem, then you know you have work to do in order to correct it. So our job as human beings is to work diligently in accepting the fact that we've got some work ahead of us. And like I said before, we're not going to be able to figure this out in just one reading or listening or one session with a therapist. It's not going to flip the switch all of a sudden and then you're a different person. It took you months, years, an entire lifetime to get where you are right now. It's impossible to believe that you could be fixed in 24 hours or in a moment. Understand that it's going to take time to get to a healing. And it becomes our acceptance of that. Our acceptance of the problem and, wow, I'm going to have to work on it. I'm going to have to take some time to really dig into this and find the problem and solve it. So what we have to do is make sure that we're ready for the next step in healing. Accept the fact that we have a lot of work to do and that we're willing to put the time in because we know it's important to be happy, healthy, and those around us can then feel safe, happy, and healthy. And the next piece is to be responsible for your thoughts. And not only that, but you have to be responsible for your words and your actions. We do not just apologize to people. We do not say I'm sorry when we've caused major harm. We have to be responsible. We have to stand up and say, wow, that was my fault. I created that. I said this. I did this. The words and actions are the pain. Our thoughts are what create those words and actions. So if we can stand up and be responsible and express to those around us that we've affected by our actions that it was our fault, my mistake. I wasn't in my right mind at the time. I wasn't in a good place. I was having a tough day. And all of a sudden you said this and it just set me off. I apologize for my behaviors. Being responsible means that you are not going to blame anyone else because nobody else creates your beliefs. Nobody else creates your thoughts. Nobody else can say your words and nobody else can create your actions. So it's not an outside problem. It never is an outside problem. When we have instability in our behaviors, it is purely internal. You can say all you want that, oh, well, they made me angry. They pissed me off. It's incorrect. Their actions might have triggered something in you that you don't like. But your actions, your reactions, your thoughts and your words and your behaviors are yours alone. So when something happens, and I'll give you a quick scenario, just a real quick scenario from a standpoint of a child. So Bob and Sue are playing baseball in their front yard. Bob throws the ball to Sue and completely overthrows her, and it goes through a window in the house, smashes the window completely. The first thought that goes through the child's head is, oh my God, I broke something. Then immediately after that is, oh my God, I'm going to be in trouble. Okay? And they probably think that because maybe they've seen their mother or father get really upset when they've broken something before. So they're immediately creating a belief that they are in trouble when they broke the window. Now that belief created the thoughts of, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just broke that. Oh my gosh, mom and dad are going to be so upset. The thoughts are created from that belief. Then what else do they do? Oh, we better not tell mom and dad. Let's just clean it up and hide it and hopefully they'll never see. Let's just ignore it, run away, and then they'll never know it was us. Let's pretend it wasn't us. The belief that we're in trouble creates the thoughts that we're in trouble. Our thoughts will then dictate what comes out of our mouth and what we do next. So if we're going at it in a panic because we've seen something happen before that was uncomfortable, that made us sad, that made us angry, that made us unhappy, we're going to tend to shy away from it or run from it. Then it becomes our actions. What do we do? Because our beliefs say that we're going to be in trouble, our thoughts are telling us that we're going to be in trouble, and our words might be saying, wow, we're in trouble, our actions are going to follow along that line. Now here's a nice scenario to contradict that. Let's just say Bob and Sue have the same scenario happen. Bob overthrows Sue, it goes through the window. They're like, oh no, I broke the window. We better go tell mom and dad. They go up and tell mom and dad. Mom and dad say, oh, that's no problem. Well, we understand. You broke the window. It's no big deal. Nobody got hurt, right? Nobody got hurt. Excellent. So let's go take a look at it and see what damage there is, and then we'll come up with a solution. I know this scenario sounds too cheesy and it sounds too perfect, but that's exactly where we create our belief system, is through our patterns in life, through our experiences in life. Does that ever happen? Yes, actually it does. Parents can be very kind and conscientious about it and comforting. And they can turn a bad situation, like a broken window, based on somebody throwing a ball when they probably shouldn't have been throwing a ball, but they can turn it into a better scenario, a learning experience, instead of an ugly experience, and one that the children will feel regret for in their life. They can look back at it and say, wow, I remember the time where I thought I was going to be in trouble from mom and dad by breaking that window, but they took care of it and we took care of it. Yes, I had to pay for it out of my allowance for the next 6 years. Yes, I had to fix the window with dad. Yes, I had to do some work to be able to pay back the mistake I made. But understand those words and how that comes out. That's a person being responsible and accountable for their actions. Those are the next 3 topics that I'm going to discuss in my next episodes. So the next episode, folks, is going to be called Learn to Recognize the Problem. We're going to delve into that a little bit more. We're going to talk about skill sets that you can start creating to help you recognize the problems that you have. The episode following that should be accepting the fact that you have work to do. We've got patterns that we have to change. We have actions that we tend to do over and over that we need to work on changing so that the end result isn't the same. Albert Einstein was quoted as saying, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So accepting the fact that we have work to do means that we're going to try not to repeat our actions. And then the next episode will be covering the responsibility of the individual. Folks, this is a long journey. I've been doing this for almost 20 years now. I've been working on retraining my brain. Every scenario that I walk through every day, I find myself reviewing it at the end of the day or maybe immediately after the situation. And then I can stand up and be responsible for my actions. And I will apologize and ask for forgiveness as often as it requires, because that's part of being a good human being and respecting the people around us. So thank you very much for listening in. Stay tuned for the next episodes, and we'll get ourselves on the right path to healing. Thank you very much and have a blessed day.